Reading from In Love at Ease Everyday Spirituality with Pramukh Swami Maharaj. We're starting chapter 4 today. This chapter is called Embracing All. Subtitle: A Mind and Heart Without Corners. It is a big book, isn't it? Either that or I'm a small boy. This section of the chapter is titled Narsin Mehta's Bhakti Song in a Syrian Refugee Camp. Our fixer, a middle-aged Jordanian man, knew the camp like the back of his hand. He had brought foreign journalists, aid workers, and diplomats to the camps since they were first established in June 2012. He recommended that we start our day at the camp's busiest bakery, quote unquote, on the main market road. There were only two options: a thin flatbread, which was cooked on an open flame stove, or a thicker pita naan bread, which was cooked over an oversized, discarded, rusted pipe with a flame inside. I chose the thin bread. It was warm. We had it with a pinch of salt and za'atar, but without olive oil, which was a scarce commodity at the camps. The bread had to be eaten immediately or it would become hard to chew. We bought extra bread and rushed to share it with the family of the imam who were to visit that morning. Some of the most accepting minds and hearts that I ever encountered were at Za'atari, the largest Syrian refugee camp in Jordan. Located roughly 12 kilometers from the southern border of Syria, the camp is a makeshift city of almost 80,000 people who carry the trauma of displacement and death with a hopeful smile for a brighter tomorrow. The Jordanian government granted me access to Za'atari and Azraq, two of the larger refugee camps in the country, if not the world, to better understand the journey of those affected by the gruesome war and humanitarian crisis in Syria. Many journalists and academics have shared stories of that trauma and difficulties with their readers. We, however, chose to focus on their resiliency and solidarity. I did not write a single story from my time in the camps. We wanted to understand their pain more than we wanted to publish the next byline. I had traveled to Jordan along with a former graduate student and a research fellow from the Columbia Graduate School of Journalism during the summer of 2016. Just 1 month before the passing away of my guru in August. My guru's waning health had led me to cancel and rebook this trip several times. Though I felt a certain pull to Gujarat given my guru's health, I felt his presence in Za'atari. I felt at home there. I would not dare normalize the trauma that I encountered there. It was unlike anything I had experienced before. A middle-aged woman who lost her father, husband, and son to one bomb. The children playing soccer in a caged, dusty intake area until their parents were given security clearance for a fabricated tent or tin home in the camp. The scarcity of running water, the lack of basic hygiene and healthcare necessities for seniors. The list goes on and on. The weight of it all was overwhelming. However, There was something about the camp that reminded me of my guru, and something about my guru that reminded me how to carry myself at the camp. I could feel his presence. We entered a tin shed which served as a makeshift prayer hall and mosque. The imam taught children Arabic, English, history, and mathematics, while helping them navigate the trauma of displacement. His face appeared stern, but that may have simply been because it was weathered by the desert sun, dust, and wind. We walked over to his family's tent, not too far from the mosque. It was slightly larger than that of others, probably because there was always someone from the community visiting them to share problems, seek advice, or find comfort. I played with his children as he listened to a couple talk about their rebellious son. The imam then shifted his attention to us and went inside a small room at the other end of the shed to prepare something suitable for my vegetarian diet. He joined us a few minutes later with a tattered set of teacups assembled from various collections and dried mint leaves. He also brought out some cardamom and dates, which I could tell he had been saving for some time. His daughter asked, "Dad, it is not Eid yet. Why did you take out the dates?" The mother hushed the children into the corner of the dark room. The imam and his wife sat across from us and started a conversation that they kindly interrupted to serve us more tea and dates. Our conversation started with questions about Bollywood and Indian fashion, and later turned to Hindu mysticism. "Tell me about bhakti, loving devotion, and music, and your many gods. I have read about them, but have not had a conversation with a Hindu in decades." We spoke about selfless love, seeing the divine within all of creation, one God manifesting in many forms, and bhakti music as a bridge between communities. He kept insisting that I finish the last of the dates and the eggless biscuits. I kept looking at his young children in the corner, who were hoping that I would save some for them. He insisted, and I resisted. "Am I not feeding the divine within you? My kids will have their turn. Today they eat through you." I was moved. How can someone who had lost so much give away his only chance at a sweet, delightful Eid? The box of dates to him was the difference between a celebratory Eid and an unremarkable breaking of the fast. He must have gauged the concerns of my mind. "Professor, you are probably thinking, what kind of father puts a stranger before their own kids?" I see my children in you. I see them within every child and young adult in this camp. Living in this camp has taught me to give and share everything we have with whoever walks through that door. Today, he comes through you. The greatest thing this camp has taught me is to look beyond, to see you for more than the Hindu, American, Indian, professor and journalist from New York that you are, and to look within you, to see you as his child, to experience myself as more than a Syrian refugee, Muslim, imam, and father. Yes, we are different, but urging myself to look beyond what I see on the surface allows me to appreciate the similarities between us. It helps me live in love with a heart and mind without corners. Nothing to hide or hoard, no one to protect or fear. I try to experience the world with an eye of oneness. It all sounded so familiar to me, lessons from the bhakti poetry I sang and the Hindu scriptures I read, as exemplified by and through Pramukh Swami Maharaj's life and his lessons. I sat with the Imam's family in silence, trying to reflect beyond the preconceived notions with which I had entered the camp. I asked him if I could sing a bhakti pad, a devotional song. He smiled and said, "No corners, remember?" Pardon me. I channeled 2 verses from the bhakti song of the 15th century Gujarati poet Narsin Mehta to capture the sentiment of the moment. I'll try my best to sing this language I'm unfamiliar with and whose melody is a mystery to me, but there is a translation also. Akhil Brahmanma Ek Tu Shri Hari Jhunjhave Rupe Anand Bhase Dehama Devatu Tejma Tatvatu Shunyama Shabda Tu Veda Vase Vrukshama Bijtu Bijma Vrukshatu Jo Batantaro Ejambase Bhane Narasayo Eman Dhani Shodhana Puritkaro Premati Pragathashe. In the entire universe, you are one, O Shri Hari, God, manifest in different forms, appearing infinite in all places. You are the divine light within the mortal body. You are the essence of the light. In the ethereal silence, the void, you are the words of the Vedas. You are the seed within the tree, and the tree within the seed. One looking for separation will only experience division. Narsing sings, futile is an intellectual search. Love him, and he will lovingly manifest in one of many forms. Certainly not the melody nor the pronunciation, I'm sure, but might as well give it my best shot. Dalita, you share your hamster is going crazy. Sounds like a hamster. Maybe it spoke to their heart. Maybe this is the language of the hamsters. I love you too, Aquarius lady. This Prabhati, early morning bhakti song, is a favorite in rural villages and cities across Western India. The poet speaks of the divine, which pervades all of creation, and hence is the universal common denominator. The poet urges the spiritual aspirant to search for and experience the divine through this oneness, an equality that unites. Through love, this oneness, which dissolves differences and breaks down borders, will become apparent. The divine unites us all. This was the quest of the Imam, and it was this quest that reminded me of the message of my guru, Pramukh Swami Maharaj. There's a fly walking around my feet, he's tickling me. Stop that. If the first two chapters describe Swami Shri's way of being in love and eyeless, which were the last two, I guess they're not including the introduction. This chapter exemplifies how bhakti, loving devotion, and aham shunyata, eyelessness, literally aham shunyata means I am not. I am the void. I am the space itself. Aham shunyata. How it translates into everyday spirituality and in his life. When one is in love and eyeless, one can embrace all uniformly and impartially. To embrace all, one has to experience and love the divine within, while casting aside one's ego and self. To embrace all, one has to be free from prejudice, bias, judgment, and partiality. To embrace all, one has to accept with an open mind and forgive with an open heart. The lessons of the previous chapter were here as prerequisites. I think my left hand is becoming Italian. Equality, equilibrium, and equanimity have a principal place in Hindu spirituality. Despite the common misconception that pre-modern social structures are built around systems of hierarchy for oppression and marginalization in Hindu society, respect and acceptance were a big part of the Hindu way of life. Hello, Claudia Sal. Hierarchy was an important part of the early Indic life, but great spiritual leaders have shown through their words and actions that there is a great sense of value for human life and dignity. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna Bhagavan says that an enlightened soul is able to love every being equally and even-mindedly. They see God in all of creation. Specifically from the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, verse 3. Why don't we read that? Why not? Let's find that verse. To find chapter 12, verse 3. But those who fully worship the imperishable, the indefinable, the unmanifest, the all-pervading, the inconceivable, and the changeless, the immovable, the constant, by disciplining all the senses, being even-minded everywhere, engaged in the welfare of all beings, they also verily attain me. And in the Vachanamrut, Bhagwan Swami Narayan states, I look upon all devotees as being equal, i.e., I do not differentiate one as being superior and another as being inferior. From Gadhadha 2:13, which we haven't read yet, but we have been reading the Vachanamrut together. We'll get there one day. Pramukh Swami Maharaj lived these lessons of equality and fairness revealed in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Bhagwan Swami Narayan's sermons. They were the basis of his spirituality. The sheer diversity and breadth of people with whom Swami Shri interacted are a testament to his ability to experience and embrace Narsimha's Mehta's Sri Hari everywhere. Add to that Swami Shri's ability to do so without prejudice and judgment, and with respect and fairness, one can experience the essence of Swami Shri's equality. Swami Shri embraced those who were invisible to and marginalized by others, different or holding contradictory worldviews, physically distanced because of his celibacy vows as a sadhu in the Swami Narayan tradition, and even those who acted against him in his community. This chapter does not provide a detailed description of the organization's social development initiatives for the marginalized, but rather focuses on Swami Shri's ecumenical and egalitarian intent to embrace the world. For this was the seed from which sprang the organization's diverse activities and their impact. Alright, so thank you for listening to this wonderful introduction to this chapter on embracing all. A wonderful one at that, as recommended by all of you. Normally I just read at the start and end, but I thought we'd read in the middle because you asked to.